The Tiger Fang captain, Panya, couldn't help but to rush towards the battle uniforms and corpses. Looking at the mangled corpses on the ground, the Tiger Fang captain painfully clenched his fists. Panya, they're already dead. What's the point of being sad? Roared the veteran named Lu. Oh, what's going on? The man named Wang smiled as he looked over. The mixed youth on the side immediately smiled as he explained, Uncle Wang, it's like this. This time, my dad told me to come out for combat training and told old Lu and Kalong to protect me. At the same time, he also hired a warlord-level fighter squad in case we don't have enough manpower. However, out of the 6 people in this squad, 5 of them died and he's the only one left. 6 people and 5 are dead? A low voice came from the huge man's throat. This squad is way too weak. Mr. Li. The veteran named Lu said respectfully, this isn't because the Tiger Fang squad is weak. Actually, a few days ago when we went out to train the young master, 2 of the squad members that stayed behind were attacked by monsters and died on the spot. And this time, when we were resting on the 6th floor, we were also attacked by a large group of monsters. Those 3 people were weaker, so they died in the monster horde. The man named Wang slightly frowned. The huge man was also confused. That weird? It's very rare for a monster horde to attack a human fighter's hideout. And this happened twice in a row, which is even weirder. Someone's plotting against you guys. The man named Wang said calmly, they probably have a grudge against the Tiger Fang squad. Luo Feng, who was hiding in the bathroom on the 2nd floor of the apartment building not too far away, clearly heard the man named Wang's words and couldn't help but to be shocked. This guy's guess is pretty accurate. A grudge against the Tiger Fang squad? Panya walked over. Uncle Wang? The mixed youth also looked towards the man named Wang with confusion. Even though your dad has some enemies, they're all Wargods. Wargods wouldn't go so far as to kill a kid like you. If that happened, your dad would definitely go crazy and destroy their entire family. The man named Wang laughed. And if a Wargod wants to kill you, you'll be dead the first day you leave the headquarters city. The mixed-blood youth nodded. Your dad did the right thing. Li Wei, the training you received is top-notch, but your current combat strength is very ordinary. The man surnamed Wang asked, how is your physical fitness now? His physique is at the intermediate warlord level. But I can deal with most of the beginner-level warlord-level monsters now, the mixed youth replied. Very average. Very average. Or you could say, it's bad. The man surnamed Wang said with some dissatisfaction, the intelligence of humans is higher than the intelligence of monsters. The intelligence of a horde leader monster was only about the same as a human's. So, a true martial arts expert could almost deal with a monster of the same level. Some freakish martial artists would even jump levels to kill monsters. Your physique is comparable to an intermediate warlord, but you can only deal with a junior warlord? He still lacks a lot of training. The mixed youth nodded obediently. Your physique is not bad. Your father and mother are also willing to spend a lot of money on you. The man with the surname Wang said sincerely, with your talent and the support of your parents, it's very possible for you to step into the Wargod level within 10 years. So right now, you need to seriously absorb the battle experience. When you become a Wargod and join the Palace of Wargods, you'll be respected by others. They won't treat you like a snobbish young master. Understood, Uncle Wang. The mixed youth clenched his teeth and nodded. His father is a powerful fighter, and his mother is also a Wargod-level fighter from a super-large family in the European Union. With his parents' genes, this Li Wei has great talent. Even if he didn't enter the wilderness, his physique has reached the intermediate warlord level after these 20 years. If his father and mother spend a lot of money, it won't be hard for this Li Wei to step into the Wargod level. May I ask, Senior, what is the Palace of Wargods? The Tiger Fang captain, Panya, couldn't help but to ask. Luo Feng, who was hiding and not daring to make a sound, also perked up his ears. Yeah, what is the Palace of Wargods? Usually when you reach the advanced warlord level, you'll be told. The man named Wang glanced at him. You're quite strong, so it's fine for me to tell you in advance. The Palace of Wargods is a group formed by all the Wargod level fighters, and even the fighters surpassing the Wargod level, in the 5 great countries and all the headquarter cities. You can say that all the Wargods in the world are members of the Palace of Wargods. And the world's strongest fighter, Hong and Thunder God, are the founders of the Palace of Wargods. This is a faction that belongs to us fighters, smiled the man named Wang. The Tiger Fang captain, Panya, was stunned. Luo Feng, who was hiding in the distance, was also shocked. Holy, all the human Wargods in the world are gathered into one faction? And it's created by powerful fighters like Hong and Thunder God? Once this faction is created, all the great countries won't be able to fight against this faction. The Palace of Wargods is the holy temple of fighters. The Palace of Wargods is the final fortress of humanity against the monsters. The Palace of Wargods exists for 2 reasons. One is to pursue the extreme power of our human bodies. The other is to exterminate the monsters on Earth. The eyes of the man surnamed Wang faintly glowed as he spoke word by word. Everyone present felt their blood boiling, including the old man with the surname Lu. He was an advanced warlord and was only 1 step away. However, based on his age, it seemed that it would be difficult for him to break through again. Luo Feng, who was hiding in the distance, was filled with anticipation as he listened. Alright, Li Wei, you guys hurry up and leave. Your Uncle Li and I still have to prepare to deal with that High Lord tier, armored dragon. This operation is very dangerous, so you guys should hurry up and get as far away as possible. It's best if you run to the highway outside the suburbs. Steel armored dragon? The mixed youth's eyes widened. Panya, Elder Lu, and the white brawny man all sucked in a breath of cold air. Heavens! Luo Feng, who was hiding in the distance, was also shocked. These two wargods sure are brave. That's a high-level horde leader steel armored dragon. A Lord-grade monster's intelligence was about the same as a human's. Due to natural reasons, a Lord-grade monster's physical fitness was generally stronger than a human of the same level. Therefore, even an advanced-level wargod would usually run away from a high-level horde leader monster. Two wargods working together to kill a high-level horde leader? Are they crazy? Haha, that steel armored dragon just laid its eggs, so its strength has decreased by quite a bit, laughed the man named Wang. This is the best opportunity. Laid its eggs? The mixed youth and the others were shocked. Alright, let's hurry up and leave. That steel armored dragon is only about 10 miles away from here. Once we make a move, the huge beast horde it controls will very likely be in turmoil. The surrounding area will be affected. Therefore, it is safest for you to escape from Shanghai and escape to the highway. The man surnamed Wang said. Every horde leader is very smart and knows how to control a gigantic monster horde. Understood. The mixed-blood youth nodded repeatedly. Then this nephew wishes Uncle Li and Uncle Wang success. Let's go. As the mixed youth gave the order, everyone, including Panya, immediately left one by one. They didn't dare to ignore the Wargods' reminder, so they immediately rushed out of the city. On the way, the mixed youth and his group of four were shocked. Mr. Wang and Mr. Li sure are impressive. They actually went to kill a high-level horde leader. Even if it's weaker when it lays eggs, it's still a high lord, Elder Lu couldn't help but exclaim. Panya could not help but ask, are these two people Shadow Blade Wang Tong and Herculean Bear Li Kan of the legendary Shadow Blade brothers? Yes. The mixed-blood youth smiled proudly. When my parents were young, they were in the same team as Uncle Wang and Uncle Li. That is a friendship of life and death. The Tiger Fang Captain Panya couldn't help but sigh. This was his background. His parents were gods of war, so naturally many of his parents' friends were gods of war as well. One day I will also become a war god and join the Palace of War Gods. Once I join the Palace of War Gods, it will be very easy to make friends with other war gods. At that time I will also have a large network of war gods. Panya couldn't help but look forward to it. Yeah, I'm the only one left in my Tiger Fang squad. Later, I'll find a stronger fighter squad to join. And Luo Feng was still hiding there without moving. The sounds of conversation came from outside. Is the autopsy done? Let's go, we need to prepare. This time our opponent is the steel armored dragon. If it's a high-level horde leader like a silver moon wolf, or a black cloud tiger, then it'll be easy to deal with. But the steel armored dragon's speed, defense, strength, and body composition have all reached the limits of a monster. It's laying eggs this time, so it's our best chance. That voice clearly belonged to the man named Wang. And the huge man's low voice rang, done, brother Wang. Alright, let's go. After a slight wind sound, there was no more sound. Luo Feng looked outside through the window. The two of them were already far away. That Panya sure got lucky this time. Looks like I won't be able to kill Panya this time. Luo Feng was clear that once the mixed-blood youth and the others leave number 003 city, this hunting mission will be over. Yeah, I can't take the risk. If worst comes to worst, I'll just meet that Tiger Fang Captain Panya in the wilderness. A bit of curiosity appeared in Luo Feng's eyes. Two wargods hunting a high-level horde leader steel armored dragon that's a bit weaker after laying eggs? And it's 10 miles away? I definitely have to watch this battle. Luo Feng's heart itched. If he didn't watch such a great battle, he would be letting himself down. There were gigantic corpses of monsters below the tattered residential building and a thick stench of blood permeated the air. Because of the previous battle, the other monsters didn't dare to come close yet, causing the area to be silent for a short period of time. At this time, Luo Feng abruptly dashed out from the second floor of the residential building. The two throwing knives that were underground immediately flew back into the sheath on the outside of Luo Feng's legs. The two wargods will probably fight the high-level horde leader steel armored dragon soon. I need to hurry and find a good place to watch the battle. Luo Feng glanced at the two lion mastiff leaders' corpses, shook his head and sighed. Wargod sure dissected these two monsters' corpses cleanly. He even took away the two important materials. Luo Feng wanted to get some benefits. Whoosh. Luo Feng turned into a blurry silhouette and swiftly headed south. The steel armored dragon's nest is 10 miles away. Which is that Carrefour? Then I'll choose a residential building that's 3 miles away. Luo Feng made his decision as he ran. In this concrete monster city, even a spirit reader wouldn't dare to be too arrogant. Sometimes he ran and sometimes he stopped to investigate. All in all, his speed was quite fast. 10 minutes later, Luo Feng entered the 16th floor of an 18-story residential building. Puchi. Two black lights spun and entered the sheath on his legs. Luo Feng smiled as he lightly pushed the door of a house on the 16th floor. The door was tightly shut, but his formless spiritual force easily controlled the lock and opened the door. This room's locked and wasn't forcefully broken. Looks like no fighter or monster has entered this room in the 30 to 40 years since the Grand Nirvana period. After Luo Feng entered, he closed the door. Indeed, the items in this room were arranged in an orderly manner. Glass cabinets, sofas, marble dining table, 42-inch TV. Everything was the style from before the Grand Nirvana period. Who? Luo Feng took off the layer of blanket covering the sofa. The leather sofa was relatively clean. He took the blanket and immediately ran to the balcony. He wiped the glass on the balcony and opened the window. What a nice view. If you stand here, you can see the monster's nest in front of you. After Luo Feng threw the blanket to the side, he leaned against the railing and looked down 3 miles below. Smoke filled the air, completely covering the monster's nest with the Carrefour supermarket as its core. The naked eye couldn't even see what was inside. However, it was daytime now. Under the sunlight, visibility was much higher than usual. Luo Feng picked up the binoculars and looked towards the smoke-filled area carefully. He saw that at the edge of the smoke-filled area, enormous pig-type monsters could be seen everywhere. Some were lying on the ground, some were slowly walking, and some of the pig-type monsters were fighting each other over and over again. There's no movement at all. Where are the 2 Wargods? Luo Feng tried his best to observe his surroundings, but he couldn't find any traces of the 2 Wargods. While Luo Feng was searching for the 2 Wargods, in a room on the 12th floor of a residential building that was around 500 meters away from Luo Feng, Wang Tong and the huge man Li Kan were sitting cross-legged drinking water to replenish the water in their bodies. I can't. The handsome youth Wang Tong took a sip of water. In a bit, we'll directly charge into the core of the monster's nest and directly deal with that steel-armored dragon. Of course, its 2 underlings, the 2 low-level horde leader, 3 Halberd fire-scaled boars, will definitely help their leader. When that happens, I'll leave those 3 Halberd fire-scaled boars to you. I can. Okay. The huge man Li Kan replied in a low voice. He lightly waved the mace in his hand as if he was waving a match. The 3 Halberd fire-scaled boars are ranked number 1 among the pig-type monsters. They're not to be messed with. Your job is just to hold them back, don't kill them, the handsome youth Wang Tong said seriously. The steel-armored dragon leader and the 3 Halberd fire-scaled boars. This combination definitely has the right to dominate the outskirts of number 003 city. If it wasn't for the fact that the most powerful steel-armored dragon just gave birth and suffered a great deal of damage, its strength would have dropped quite a bit. Wang Tong wouldn't dare to just charge in like that. Brotherly, I'm done. The huge man Li Kan stood up. Wang Tong also stood up and coldly looked at the mist-covered area. Let's go. 2 silhouettes directly leapt from the 12-story building. Like giant grasshoppers in human form, they directly traversed a distance of nearly 100 meters and landed on another building. With a slight push, the 2 of them immediately darted through the reinforced concrete forest. Moreover, the speed of the 2 of them surpassed the speed of sound. Rumble. When Luo Feng heard the sonic boom and turned his head to look, he only saw 2 blurry silhouettes dashing into the mist-covered area. They've already gone in? So fast. Luo Feng didn't dare to be careless anymore as he carefully stared at the mist-covered area. Howl? Mad howls immediately rose from within the mist-covered area, as if the world was in chaos. Large amounts of monsters outside of the mist-covered area also immediately dashed towards the mist-covered area, causing the earth to shake. They've started fighting? Luo Feng could only guess as he stared at the mist-covered area. He couldn't see what was happening inside. The family mart that was covered in dust and had a lot of dried blood on it was completely devoid of people. This place has already become a monster's playground. Hoo-hoo. A gigantic monster covered in dark green scales was currently sleeping inside the family mart. 2 streams of foul-smelling smoke came out of its nose and filled the surroundings. The first and second floors of the supermarket have long been destroyed, so the entire supermarket is very empty. The first floor in particular is 7 to 8 meters tall. Suddenly, the mad howls of monsters came from outside. Howl? This gigantic monster slowly climbed up. Its pair of fiery red pupils made people's hearts tremble. This monster was around 5 meters tall and its body was around 10 meters long. Even its tail was astonishingly long. Its body was long and narrow, and there was a curved black horn on its forehead. And when it stood up, a huge green egg that was around 1 meter tall appeared under its body. Rumble. The green-scaled monster's body moved and disappeared from the supermarket. The family mart was the core of the monster horde. A huge amount of monsters gathered around the family mart. 2 figures were like lightning as they quickly stepped on the bodies of some monsters and dashed towards the family mart in the center. Quick. Don't fight, be careful of being held back by the monster horde, Wang Tong yelled. Understood. Li Kan was also suppressing the violent nature in his heart. In front of the Carrefour supermarket, there were a bunch of huge bloodthirsty tank monsters and a bunch of horned boar monsters. The scales of each of these monsters were much brighter than normal monsters, and they seemed to be more exquisite as well. These huge monsters also seemed to have a bit of intelligence in their eyes. Right. In front of the family mart, there was a huge group of over 100 monsters. They were all commander-level monsters. They were the core of this terrifying monster horde. In front of these over 100 commander-level monsters, there were 2 giant monsters that looked like they were burning with flames. These 2 giant monsters were covered in fiery red scales, without a single blemish. Especially on their huge heads, there were 3 sharp horns that were curved high and pointed forward. 3 Halberd fire-scaled boars. The number 1 pig-type monster horde. The weakest of the 3 Halberd fire-scaled boars was a middle-level commander. These 2, however, were low-level horde leaders. Roar, followed by a sky-shaking roar. A blurry figure appeared in front of the 2 tri-Halberd fire boars. The figure condensed and turned into a monster that was slightly shorter than the tri-Halberd fire boars. Its entire body was covered in dark green scales. 2 puffs of smoke came out of its nostrils angrily. Its eyes were fixed on the 2 humans that were charging at it. Die, you bastard. Wang Tong roared and a large amount of monsters leapt at him. However, Wang Tong charged forward with a rain of blood and large amounts of monster corpses fell from the sky. The steel-armored dragon felt the power of the two humans in front of it. It turned around and looked inside the supermarket. Its dragon egg was still there. They were fighting. When an advanced-level Wargod and a high-level horde leader fight, if the dragon egg is affected, it can easily be destroyed. Roar! The steel-armored dragon roared and suddenly dashed out. As it ran, it created a shocking sonic boom. So that's how it is. Wang Tong and Li Kan were overjoyed when they saw this. They already guessed that the steel-armored dragon would give up on its nest for the dragon egg it just laid. This way, without a large amount of monsters holding them back, Wang Tong and Li Kan's chances of victory will increase by quite a bit. Boom! Boom! Wang Tong and Li Kan instantly reached the speed of sound and chased after it. Boom! Boom! The two low-level horde leader level 3 Halberd fire-scaled boars also reached the speed of sound and chased after it. As for the 100 or so commander-level monsters, only 30 or so followed them out. Most of the elite commander-level monsters remained in the surroundings, protecting the leader's nest. Of the 100 or so commander-level monsters, there are around 30 or so high-level commander-level monsters. Such a team. Even a Wargod won't be able to charge in a short amount of time. On a tall building, Luo Feng was currently standing on the balcony with his binoculars. He saw one shadow, two shadows, and then two more shadows charged out of the smoke-covered area. Haha, they actually charged out to fight. Luo Feng's eyes flashed with excitement. Hehe, they're all horde leader and Wargod level monsters. Dragon was a very special and honorable name for both Easterners and Westerners. Before the Grand Nirvana period, no beast had the right to be called a dragon. However, after the Grand Nirvana period, all sorts of animals and beasts mutated, giving rise to all sorts of strange and terrifying monster races. For example, there were many types of pig-type monsters, many types of dog-type monsters, cat-type monsters, rat-type monsters, gecko-type monsters, wolf-type monsters, tiger-type monsters, snake-type monsters, eagle-type monsters, bears. There were many races in each category. Apart from these, there were also some extremely special and rare monsters. No one knew how they evolved. Perhaps it was a monster that was born from some special factors. These monsters would have some strange names. According to the difference in their strength, humans would give them different names. Iron Armored Dragon. This was an extremely unique monster race. This was because it was near perfect in terms of speed, strength, defense, awareness and body structure. Therefore it was called Iron Armored Dragon by humans and had the name Dragon. For it to have such a name, one could imagine just how powerful and terrifying the steel-armored dragon was. Roar! The steel-armored dragon's tail, which was almost as long as its entire body, quickly waved, turning into a dark cyan blur. The steel-armored dragon was also crazily pouncing towards Shadow Blade Wang Tong. Pooh! The asphalt road cracked from the impact of the steel-armored dragon's charge. Boom! Wang Tong and the steel-armored dragon, one man and one beast, crashed into a residential building one after the other. The concrete walls of the residential building were smashed apart like tofu, especially when the steel-armored dragon's tail swept fiercely inside. Immediately, a large number of walls and stone pillars collapsed with a loud rumble. Rumble, the entire residential building collapsed and dust filled the air. Ooh, ooh. Wang Tong's entire body was like a gust of gentle wind. Every flash and movement of his had the taste and rhythm of the wind, and he seemed very elegant. Although the steel-armored dragon's attacks were shockingly fast, and each strike produced a shocking explosion, it was unable to harm Wang Tong in the slightest. On the other hand, two of the steel-armored dragon's scales had been shattered. I didn't expect the armored dragon to be so powerful after giving birth. Wang Tong was extremely worried. I'm a human after all. My body's resistance to collisions is weaker than this steel-armored dragon. As the saying goes, a prolonged defense is bound to be lost. I can dodge for a while, but I can't keep this up forever. But with its defense, unless you hit a vital point, it won't be able to escape. Otherwise, breaking one or two scales won't affect it much. Wang Tong frowned. There's no chance. It seems that I can only take a slight risk and create an opportunity myself. That's insane. Luo Feng, who was watching from the balcony of a tall building in the distance, felt his heart beating wildly. He could only see the battle between the two Wargods, Wang Tong and Li Kan, and the three horde leaders. The cement and asphalt streets they passed cracked, the shops along the streets collapsed, and the skyscrapers that were over 10 stories tall could only collapse. They couldn't stop their footsteps at all. The collapse of a 10-story building could not hurt them at all. It's said that the bodies of Lord-class monsters are much stronger than diamonds, and even missiles can't kill them. As expected. Even if some of the collapsed skyscrapers landed on the steel-armored dragon's body, the steel-armored dragon just swung its tail and the concrete pillars directly broke apart, revealing the steel bars within. The steel-armored dragon's scales didn't even leave a mark on them. Effortlessly, the horde leader monster and the human Wargod's movement speed surpassed the speed of sound. This is a high-level horde leader monster, and it's not a regular monster either. It's a steel-armored dragon. This is much stronger than the black-crowned golden eagle in the video back then. Luo Feng's blood was boiling as he watched. Sadly, the attacks of the two sides are too fast. I can't even see them clearly. Luo Feng could only see the horrifying power of the battle. Howl. Following the roars that filled the sky, tens of thousands of monsters charged over under the lead of the 30 commander-level monsters. For a moment the earth started to shake. The two triple Halberd fire-scaled boars that were working together to fight against the huge brute Li Kan immediately let out an excited roar that shook the sky. That huge brute named Li sure is powerful. Luo Feng watched the battle from the balcony as he watched the apocalyptic scene below. Not only is that mace powerful but his dodging is also extremely fast. It's definitely a Ru Wei dodging technique, and it's already very mature. He's able to use every part of the environment around him, including the monsters that are charging towards him. His control over the battle is much stronger than mine. Luo Feng evaluated as he gained experience. Even though he has a Ru Wei level technique in a battle of life and death, he can't perfectly use every part of the environment around him to help him. That male named Wang is even stronger. Luo Feng's eyes were filled with shock. Not only does his technique surpass the Ru Wei level, it also surpasses the level of this huge brute named Li's environment control. It's reached a natural and unique level. His body is like a gust of wind. In terms of technique he can be considered a master. Even though his technique is excellent, compared to these two great Wargods, there's clearly quite a bit of difference. Actually, Luo Feng doesn't know the status of these two people. Shadow Blade Wang Tong is an advanced level Wargod who is extremely famous in the entire world. His best partner, Bear of Vigor Li Kan, is also an intermediate level Wargod. Especially in terms of strength, he's comparable to an advanced level Wargod. These two have experienced countless battles of life and death. Moreover, they are the top elites of the entire world and have astonishing comprehension. That's why their technique is so good. The male named Wang is injured. No, it's a trap. The steel armored dragon's head is injured. Luo Feng opened his eyes wide in shock as he carefully looked through his binoculars. F***K the entire monster horde is going crazy. Even those two fire-scaled 3 Halberd boars are going crazy. No, even though that steel armored dragon is heavily injured, it's going even crazier. The male named Wang is trying his best to dodge. Luo Feng was extremely excited. Oh, right, the male named Wang is trying his best to dodge the steel armored dragon's attack. This Wargod sure is vicious and his blade is really fast. Luo Feng realized that the male named Wang has been trying his best to control the rhythm of the battle. However, even though the steel armored dragon's strength has decreased due to laying eggs, its body fitness level is still quite a bit higher than Wang Tong's. Rhythm, yes, control the rhythm of the battle. If this goes on, the male named Wang and the others might actually be able to kill the steel armored dragon. When that happens they might even be able to get their hands on the steel armored dragon's egg. A dragon egg that can give birth to a special species, the steel armored dragon, is worth a lot of money. Luo Feng's eyes suddenly flashed. Dragon egg. The steel armored dragon, 2 fire-scaled 3 Halberd boars, these 3 horde leader level monsters have all come out. The 2 Wargods are also here. In other words, there are no horde leader level monsters at the monster nest. Doesn't that mean I have a chance to enter the monster nest and take away the dragon egg? Luo Feng could only feel his heart going ba-dump, as if it was going to jump out of his chest. His heart was beating like a drum. Excitement, nervousness. Before, Luo Feng wasn't prepared to steal the dragon egg because when the 2 Wargods went over, he thought that the 2 Wargods and the 3 horde leaders would be fighting in their lair. If that's the case, he would just be sending himself to death. However, the situation is different now. If brother wants to truly stand up from his wheelchair and walk under the sun like a normal person, I'll need to buy an elixir of life. And one elixir of life costs at least 30 billion. Unless I become a Wargod, it'll take a long time for me to earn money like this. And this time taking away the dragon egg is my best chance. Once Luo Feng had this thought he couldn't hold it in anymore. The price of a dragon egg is extremely high. Because a dragon's corpse is easy to get, but a dragon's egg is hard to get. After all, it's very hard to find information about a dragon laying an egg. Also, the monsters called dragons are all very prideful. If there's a chance of death, they'd rather destroy the dragon egg than let it fall into the hands of humans. This caused the number of dragon eggs obtained by humans to be very low, so naturally the price would be high. Even though the Carrefour supermarket is a monster nest with a shocking amount of monsters there are still no horde leader level monsters there. But right now there are no horde leader level monsters there. If I fail I'll just run away. Luo Feng clenched his teeth. I'll go all out. If I succeed I'll earn a lot this time. After that, Luo Feng didn't care about watching the battle anymore. He immediately dashed down from the balcony of the 16th floor and shot towards the ground like an arrow. When Luo Feng headed towards the monster's nest, Jiangnan City, which was around 1,000 miles away, was still peaceful. This was humanity's paradise. Yangzhou City Mingyue sector. Last night's snowstorm caused the sector to be covered in snow. A few kids were happily making snowmen and having snowball fights. Some elderly people were also leisurely strolling in the neighborhood. On the streets outside the neighborhood, there were manly SUVs, elegant coupes, and even luxury cars with flight capabilities could be seen flying in the air. Chen Gu and his wife sat on a clean stone bench as they watched their kids make a snowman not far away. Headquarter cities are still the best, Chen Gu couldn't help but to sigh. Headquarter cities are good, but the wilderness is filled with monsters. Only fighters can go there. I say, old Chen, when are you going to leave your fighter squad? Chen Gu's wife said with a bit of sadness. You've worked hard for so many years, it's time for you to rest and enjoy life. Chen Gu looked at his wife and then at his son. Wife, I can't always think about retreating. Our Firehammer squad is currently in a period where our strength is rapidly increasing, so I'll fight with these old brothers for a bit longer. After a year and a half, I'm afraid that my strength won't be able to keep up with the squad. At that time the squad will probably need to recruit new members and then I'll retire. Chingu was very clear. The members of the Firehammer squad, other than Luo Feng, are all quite old. Plus Luo Feng's shocking improvement. After a year and a half Chingu, Wei Qing, and Wei Tai won't be able to keep up and will retire. I heard from Luo Feng's parents that Luo Feng hasn't returned yet. Is he in the wilderness? Asked Chingu's wife. Yeah, Chingu nodded. He's working too hard. Chingu's wife couldn't help but to sigh. He should strike a balance between work and rest. And how peaceful is the headquarters city? How comfortable is it? The headquarters city is very comfortable. There are no threats from monsters, and there are all sorts of comforts brought by technology. However, the wilderness is filled with danger. What do you know? If everyone just wants to enjoy life, then what will humanity rely on to fight against monsters? Chingu couldn't help but to yell. It's because of the hard work of countless scientists, Wargod-level fighters, and even invincible existences surpassing the Wargod level. That's why humans can live in the base cities. The base city and the wilderness were two different worlds. One was a peaceful and comfortable world. One was the bloody world where danger lurked in every corner. Only the elites of human society, the warriors, could roam freely in this wilderness. That's right, wife. When Luo Feng's parents ask you, just say, Luo Feng will be back soon. Chingu instructed. I understand. Chingu's wife nodded. The atmosphere of the wilderness was completely different from that of the base cities. Moreover, it was the city with the most monsters in the entire Eurasian continent. In the northern outskirts of City 003, a pinnacle battle was taking place. 2 war gods were fighting against 3 lord-tier monsters. I need to speed up. Otherwise, if the Monster King wins and returns to its nest, I won't stand a chance at all. And if the human god of war wins and they go to the monster's lair, I won't stand a chance either. Luo Feng swiftly moved forward. My only chance is to take advantage of this short period of time when they are fighting outside. Luo Feng, who was worried about by his parents and friends in the base city, was using all his strength to travel through the monster-filled city. Luo Feng quickly entered the smoke-filled area. Luo Feng, with a whoo sound, dashed into the 5th floor of the 6-story residential building. Through the window he looked at the smoke-filled area in front of him. The streets in front of him were densely packed with all sorts of monsters. Even the shops, residential buildings, offices, etc. along the streets were filled with large amounts of monsters. With the supermarket as the center, the surrounding smoke-filled area was filled with monsters. What should I do now? Luo Feng frowned. The density of monsters is way too high. I can't sneak in without making a sound. Keep in mind that even Wang Tong and Li Kan, 2 powerful wargods, couldn't sneak in when faced with the monsters that were everywhere in the smoke-filled area. They could only choose to force their way in. Wargods can force their way in, but if I force my way in, I'll just die. Looks like there's only one way. Luo Feng shook his head and laughed. Compared to a wargod, Luo Feng's biggest advantage is his ability to fly. Luo Feng pressed 2 buttons and the hexagonal shield on his back immediately slid down. Under the control of his spiritual force, it hovered in front of Luo Feng. Hee flying into a monster's nest, how exciting. Luo Feng jumped onto the hexagonal shield. The hexagonal shield just hovered like that and was around half a meter away from the tiles on the ground. Go! Whoosh! The hexagonal shield instantly shot out of the window at an astonishing speed. Keep in mind that Luo Feng can control the speed of his throwing knife to instantly surpass the speed of a sniper rifle bullet. The hexagonal shield and Luo Feng's body were quite heavy. However, with the strength of Luo Feng's spiritual force, he can still make the hexagonal shield fly at a speed close to the speed of sound. However, I can't fly too fast or else the vibrations in the air will be too loud and I'll be easily discovered by the monsters. Luo Feng stood on the shield and flew 50 meters above the ground. Because of the smoke-filled area, whether it's a human or a monster, their range of vision has decreased by a lot, so Luo Feng wasn't discovered. The smoke-filled area helped me a lot. Just like that. Even though the monsters were densely packed on the ground, on the shops, apartments and office buildings, the horde of monsters controlled by the steel-armored dragon were mainly land animals. There were no birds at all. Not being able to fly. Along with the small range of vision, the monsters couldn't discover Luo Feng at all. Carrefour supermarket. Luo Feng faintly saw the small building in midair. The entire Carrefour supermarket has a total of 5 floors. According to the original design, the 1st and 2nd floors were the supermarkets. The 3rd, 4th and 5th floors were mainly large appliances, etc. Of course, after a few dozen years, these items have long been ruined by the monsters. However, this 5-floor building was still pretty much the same as before. Luo Feng took out a pair of binoculars from his backpack and carefully observed. Even though the smoke-filled area was huge, the binoculars were clearly much more effective than the naked eye. Through the broken windows, he could see that the 3rd, 4th and 5th floors of the Carrefour supermarket had a few faint shadows of monsters. The 1st and 2nd floors, however, strangely didn't have a single monster. And all around the supermarket, there were large amounts of monsters gathered on the ground. A horde leader's intelligence is very high, on par with the humans. Luo Feng thought, if I were the leader, of course I would want my subordinates to be forbidden from messing around where I live. So the first and second floors are most likely where the leader, the steel armored dragon, lives. As for the third, fourth and fifth floors, only its elite subordinates have the right to live there. It's probably a commander-level monster. Luo Feng carefully observed from the top of the supermarket's 5-floor building. He even circled around the entire 5-floor building and carefully observed the monster's nest from all directions. Without 100% confidence, Luo Feng wouldn't dare to rashly charge into the monster's nest. Luo Feng was in midair as he carefully observed the area below him through the binoculars. These binoculars are meant for fighters. While they're expensive, they're also very effective. Luo Feng could vaguely see the monsters standing in front of the supermarket's main entrance. These monsters were all gigantic, had shiny fur, and had exquisite scales. Medium-level commander. This is also a medium-level commander, high-level commander, medium-level commander, high-level commander. Medium-level commander. High-level commander. Luo Feng continued to identify them. After identifying 52 monsters, Luo Feng didn't continue identifying the remaining half of the commander-level monsters. Out of these 52 monsters, there are 32 mid-level commanders and 20 high-level commanders. There's not a single low-level commander-level monster. There are around 100 commander-level monsters guarding the main entrance of the monster's nest. There should be around 60 to 70 medium-level commanders and 30 to 40 high-level commanders. Luo Feng estimated a number and couldn't help but to jump in shock. Holy! Other than the densely packed monsters in the surroundings, this monster's lair actually had such a monster squad of beast generals. And there's 30 to 40 high-level commanders. If it's a beginner-level Wargod, they'll probably run away. If they fight, they'll probably die. Intermediate-level Wargods might be able to fight a bit. Only advanced-level Wargods might be able to get past this monster squad. What do I do? There are monsters on the 3rd, 4th and 5th floor. And the supermarket is surrounded by countless monsters. There's also a monster squad guarding the main entrance. How do I get in? How do I take away the steel armored dragon's dragon egg without disturbing them? Luo Feng stood on his hexagonal shield in midair and held the binoculars in his hand as he quickly thought of all sorts of methods. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and turn on the notifications so you won't miss any of our upcoming great videos.